This is We the Sales Engineers podcast, show 185.
Welcome to We the SEs podcast, the show for sales engineers by sales engineers with your host, Ramzi Majaba.
What's up, SE Nation? Welcome back to another episode. I am your host, Ramzi Majaba. Today I am not joined by my co-host, Mini Kanungo. I think he had a beard appointment. But we had a great guest. His name is Andrew Murari, and he's based out of Toronto, so it's always nice to talk to a fellow Canadian. He's in an industry that I've never worked in. It's MarTech, and so marketing technology, in case you're wondering what that means. I just want to say it because it makes me sound smart. And he's been recently moving up the ranks as a sales engineer to an SE leader. And I just loved the conversation with him because we covered so many different topics from when he first started and how he had changed the culture of the sales engineer and organization from demo jockeys to actual consultants and advisors, where he actually found allies to help him do that. It wasn't where I expected. And we talked about the challenges of becoming a director during COVID time or outside of COVID time. So these are just the three things in the first 10 minutes or 15 minutes. So a lot more that came after that. I hope you guys enjoy it. I enjoyed my conversation with Andrew, and it was how about we just jump in and you make your decision for yourselves. See you after the show. Mr. Andrew Murari, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Are we evening?
Afternoon, close enough. Very close. It's the end of the day here.
Get off something.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic today. How are you?
I am doing well. Thank you for joining me on the show. This is the first time I have my windows open because my wife decided to turn off the AC.
It's that time of year. I've actually had the AC off for almost 3 weeks now. It's been fantastic for me.
I'm sweating right now, which is unusual.
Fair.
October in Canada, you're not supposed to be sweating while working. Welcome to the show. Could you tell the folks listening a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Andrew Murari. I'm the Director of Solutions Engineering at Uberflip, which is the premier content experience platform. We're based out of Toronto, Canada. And really my job is just to help organizations make the most of their MarTech stack and support my team to really see that through.
Nice. So were you born a director or did you have to work your way up?
Definitely had to work my way up. I started out in kind of like support technical roles, left for consulting for a little while. And then when I got back into technology here at Uberflip, I started out just as a sales engineer and really wanted to morph the team into a little bit more of my own image. And then from an individual contributor to like a player, coach, manager, now director of the team.
So how does one mold a team in their image while they're still like an individual contributor?
For sure. So for that, I think I need to go back in time almost like 15 years, if that's okay.
Yeah, please.
I'm going to talk about not Uberflip. I'm actually going to go all the way back to working at Best Buy just in the suburbs of Toronto. Okay. And the reason I want to bring that up is I was a salesperson at Best Buy, and I sold video game consoles, mostly to grandparents and parents, really helping them understand what they wanted to buy for their kids. I actually, to date, often will say that was the best job I've ever had for a number of different reasons. Loved working there, but it really gave me like the original passion for talking to people about what they needed. Not so much what they wanted. They might come in for like an Xbox or a Wii, doesn't really matter, but understanding what they need for their own setup. So that was me years and years ago. Then I went to school for something extremely technical, essentially ethical hacking and network infrastructure. Thought I was going to do that. And then I landed in a very technical job. The logical pattern for me was engineer eventually.
Yeah.
But I really, really enjoyed the consulting aspect of my job when I had these entry-level positions at Eloqua at the time. So I left Eloqua when it was acquired by Oracle to consult. And I did that for years and years and really, really enjoyed it. So when I came here to Uberflip as an individual contributor, it was a bit of a shock for me. I didn't really know what a sales engineer was at the time. I just knew it was some sort of hybrid technical consulting role. Sounded perfect for me based on kind of my history and where I've been. But when I got here, the role itself, how it was set up, was really just account executives would bring us in for technical validation and nothing else. We would get on there for a call, we would run through our 20 to 40-minute demo, not really ask any questions, and that's it. But I really didn't feel satisfied with anything. So I started working with the other sales engineers and the account executives to really figure out what needed to be done. So moving more into that consulting role. So that's a very long-winded way of me kind of saying, based on my history, I wanted to get more into consulting instead of just kind of demoing a technical platform for the sake of validation.
Nice. So if we stay back, I don't think 15 years, but maybe 5 years or whatever.
Yeah.
You left the engineering world and you went into consulting.
Right.
And you mentioned that you loved it a lot.
Yes.
Why did you move back into sales engineering, not even knowing what the role is 100%? Like you had an idea, but you didn't know.
Yeah, definitely two reasons. So I left Eloqua Oracle at the time to do consulting because I didn't love working for a giant organization, but I knew I wanted to work with big companies. So instead of working, for Oracle, I'd rather help Oracle execute on their marketing strategy, or Samsung or any of the other like big tech companies out there. I wanted to help them execute on that. So the reason I left for consulting was exactly for that. And I did that for years, but I really missed the product aspect of it. So having some sense of ownership of the product, I really missed that, which is what drew me back to working for a SaaS company, Uberflip in this case. But I really wanted to continue my work with organizations to help them solve their challenges. So when you're working as an engineer, you're really trying to solve the challenges within a company. As a sales engineer, at least in this role, it was more still about consulting, but it was about consulting within this organization instead of to a bunch of different organizations. And that's what drew me back here.
Right. That's pretty cool. Like, we never think about the product, right? We think we're consulting, but sometimes the product makes a big difference. I mean, you're lucky you're working for like the premier product in your space. If you were working for the other end of the spectrum, you probably wouldn't enjoy it as much. So you came in, there was already an established SE team from what I understand. Why do you think they were just demo jockeys, I guess?
Yeah, for sure. So what essentially happened there was the people in the sales engineering role before, and I owe them a lot of debt. Like I learned a lot from these people, of course, becoming an expert on this platform. But what was, I guess, holding everyone back was lack of exposure to other types of roles. So they really were just product users and then logically became the product internal expert here at Uberflip and just stuck to what they know. Whereas me, I've been working with marketers for years, doing a lot of storytelling with marketers, understanding what they need to help make informed decisions, either with their existing tech or buying new tech, that I saw the gap there from just, here's how you click a few buttons and build something to let's tell a story about why you actually need Uberflip.
Nice. Yeah, I've noticed this quite a bit, that people within the same organization tend to do the same mistakes.
Exactly.
When you get someone from the outside, they either change how everybody thinks or they end up doing the same mistakes that everybody else does.
For sure.
So I'm glad you did the latter. What pushback did you get from the SEs while you're trying to change the way they think about sales engineering?
I love that question because there was a lot of pushback. We've been doing it and we've been doing it really well for a long time. We don't need to change. So it really just came down to me kind of doing my own proofs, essentially working with a few select AEs to see my own success through. And when it came down to it, the deals I were selling oftentimes were bigger, just because we were able to really sink our teeth into the actual opportunity a little bit more. They understood the challenge we were solving better and realized we can do a lot more for them than just this simple, one thing we came to you for. So I was able to work with AEs, prove out my own workflow. And that's when the other sales engineers realized, okay, this is actually the way we should be going.
It's funny. Patrick Besang, he's an author based out of Germany. He's writing a book. He wrote a book called the social sales engineers, and he basically described your situation, and like in the book, where there's someone who knows the product inside out and demos the product very well, and there's someone who's a consultant. And so I like that. You mentioned you worked with a few AEs. You didn't get pushback from them?
No, actually, because it almost took a burden off of them. They were doing a lot of this work before. For them, it was a lot of discovery, trying to figure out these pains. But they all didn't have not all of them, but quite a number of them didn't have the background experience that myself had working with marketers and understanding what they care about, how to make them look good and whatnot. So by me kind of coming in and helping with that strategy aspect, they realized this is more of a team sell. It's not so much on me to do everything and you to demo the product. We can approach this together. So oftentimes I've worked with AEs where they actually do the technical SE demo, and I'm actually there to help with some of the discovery. It's really more of a partnership now with my approach.
I was talking to someone from sales enablement, and we were talking about the role of the SE versus the role of the salesperson. And I was saying, like, the SE should be doing these, asking these questions and all that. And he's like, well, isn't that the role of the salesperson? Like, yeah, but also the SEs live with the product. They know exactly what the product can do and problems it solves. So they have a better idea of how to actually ask the questions. Then, there's more trust there. Customers will answer SEs differently than they answer salespeople. So it's very interesting to say that. Yeah.
Yeah, we're speaking more their language instead of, we're all on the sales team, of course, but we're not truly there just to sell. I want to make sure that you have the problem, I've uncovered it, and we're actually solving for the problem. First and foremost, that's that. If it's a bad fit, I will call that out right away. Whereas oftentimes salespeople can try and make, it fit if it's not a good fit.
Well, they don't know. Like they think that it solves the problem. It's not that they're doing it out of maliciousness.
Of course.
They don't know that. So I love that. I love that salespeople were actually happy that you came in and you provided them value, and you were a consultant to them as much as you were a consultant to sales engineers. And
yeah.
Nice. So you then moved into player coaching and directing. Like, I feel like a lot of great SEs get pushed into directing, but they love the sales engineering role. Is there anything you took from that role and you made it work as a director?
Yeah, for me, it was just understanding gaps and then how we can actually work with other people to solve them. That's a very wide open thing to say, but what I've always liked about any role I've ever had is looking at a problem and trying to solve it. That's why being an SE was so attractive to me. Now, I love that entire aspect of the job. Demoing is really fun, but there are a lot of other interdepartmental challenges here and at every organization, which I wanted to help plug. So look at the problems we're having, how we work with our success organization, our sales development organization, marketing, all of them, and try and plug those gaps and figure out how can we make all of these teams work together. So the lessons I learned in problem solving as an SE have helped me in this role.
Yeah, so you went from like your customers shifted basically from like the end customers to your employees and how you can help them.
Exactly, nailed it there.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So how long have you been a director currently?
Less than a year. COVID is a bit of a time warp, so anywhere between a year and a half and 1 day, who knows? But I think realistically about 9 months.
Okay. What are some challenges that you didn't see coming that are just punching you in the face gently, I guess?
Yeah, the biggest challenge, and I actually will say this is across almost every organization that I've ever worked at, is the sales to service handoff. We might sell something and it might be great, it might solve all the problems, but if there's not a good transition from the sales team to the service team, it doesn't matter what we sold, it's not going to go smoothly. So this was the same thing in consulting. We're at a small team, so whatever I sold, I also actioned on. So it was not bad there. But here, we're a big organization. It takes a lot of moving parts. So that was kind of one of the biggest gaps I had noticed right away, and something I'm actively trying to solve for.
Any ideas of how you're going to solve it?
work with the implementation team a lot more, instead of just, we sold it, hands clean, actually keeping ownership through implementation. So again, instead of contract signed, we're done, it's actually having my organization, because we are that like technical consultant middle person, it just logically makes sense for us to see through the execution that we've sold on. The account executive, of course, can go out there and, look for new deals and all of that. And they don't have the context into the technical, how we integrate with the rest of the MarTech stack, but we do. So we need to see that through. Not that we're actioning on it, can essentially action as a shadow project manager, for lack of a better word.
Right. Yeah. So you're not actually doing the work, but you're making sure it's done, and
Exactly.
you're there to provide feedback. Like, hey, you're doing it this way, but I talked with the customer when we talked about it that way. So
Exactly. It helps keep everyone accountable. Customer for remembering kind of what their use case was at the time, because implementation can sometimes take a few months, and as months go by, things can be lost. So really just keeping ownership on our own team and on the customer side.
like, you're owning the customer journey from like beginning to end. Like, it's not, the end doesn't end with the PO, it ends when
Exactly.
they're using the product.
Exactly. And that again, it was one of the biggest challenges, and it, of course, still is. We're not perfect at it, but it's something I'm actively looking to get better and better with.
So you don't have a customer success team. The SE is kind of doing that job right now.
Yeah, no, we absolutely do have a customer success team, but they don't essentially work on the pre-sale side of things, right? So we need a smoother transition. There have always been kickoff meetings where we'll sit down with the customer success team, but it's impossible to distill 8 months of the sales cycle into a 1 hour meeting. There's a lot of context that can get lost. So just having one person see it end to end essentially helps with that transition.
Right. Same question as before. What pushback are you getting right now?
No pushback, really. This is a challenge everyone agrees with. It's more, how do we actually solve it? Because sometimes we might see a gap here and have a solution to solve it either through technology or through communications, and that actually might not answer it. So right now, it's a lot of trial and error to figure out what works, what doesn't work, what is too much work, and what's not enough.
So I would foresee you have a big challenge in terms of hiring, because now you're hiring. At one point, you were just hiring people who can do demos. Now you're doing consulting, but also now, in addition to consulting and doing demos, and you're just adding on top of it project management.
Yeah.
Where are you finding that talent that can actually do all these things?
For sure. So the reason I was hired here, at least what I've been told, is because of my industry background. And traditionally, that's who you would hire for a lot of SE roles, is someone who's very familiar with the space or the actual technology, maybe an existing customer, and hire them on to do this. And that's great. But what's unique about what our platform is it could be, a small or medium piece tech stack. So it is impossible to be an expert in the 11,000 marketing technology companies out there. It's just not going to happen. What's more important to me is understanding what our space is. And if you can do that, why marketers would buy different technologies in MarTech. So buying email marketing, social marketing, content experience platforms, and how they all fit together. So that was why I was hired, and how a couple of my original hires were as well. And they're all amazing people. But I realized a really important thing, an aspect of our job, at least here at Uberflip, is we're selling to marketers. Marketers are really story-driven people. Our technology might not be the most challenging thing in the world. We're not selling like server farms or anything like that. We're selling content experience platform, which can, again, help with that aspect. So I started looking at non-traditional people who just were eager to learn, passionate about something, and could tell a good story. So that actually became my number one thing I'm looking at, in technology kind of second. Because I don't expect anyone out there to be an instant Uberflip expert if they've never been exposed to it before. we have a technology you can learn. I just want to see that you're passionate and good at storytelling.
Where are you finding these unicorns?
So Martech is a pretty small and close-knit community. So a lot of referrals, a lot of who's worked with who, but also just various, honestly, Slack groups of sales engineers. So one of my newest hires, Jackie, she used to be a bar manager, and she posted in a Slack group, "Hey, I've never been an SE before. Can someone talk to me about it?" And I was busy, and honestly, I kind of forgot to, and that's on me. But a couple months later, we were actually introduced by a mutual person, and I remember her name in the Slack group, and I reached out to her immediately. We had a conversation. Bar manager, has nothing to do with marketing technology, but the way she was able to talk about herself and what she's done in the past, and even just the technology she's used in that role, made me understand, okay, you're a story-driven person, and you will be able to learn technology fast. And she's amazing now. So where I'm finding them, again, is anywhere and everywhere. They could be anywhere. Hiding in a closet, who knows?
So in my head right now, I'm thinking, like, wouldn't she be a great salesperson instead? And why did she, well, I guess I should ask her that question, but in your opinion, why did she go for sales engineering instead of sales?
That is actually a good question, and I can't answer for anyone on my team. Why I think she's a good person, though, is really just wanting to solve the problem. I think it's a little bit more honest as a sales engineer to want to solve the actual pains that a customer's having. I'm not knocking on account executives at all. They do what they do, and they are trying to uncover and help with these pains. For us, though, the exposure really comes down to trying to sell from the customer's perspective. So we almost like turn around and try and prove the use case from their side instead of trying to sell them a use case. At least that's the approach here. And because of that aspect, I know myself and the rest of my team feel a little bit more suited to that, rather than just, here's what we do and here's how we can fit it to your pains. It's more, here are your pains and here's how we can solve them. It's almost the same sentence, just slightly different verbiage in the middle.
Okay, I'm gonna have to repeat that. Maybe I'll post that.
Sure.
Okay. Like, generally speaking, when I talk to sales engineering managers and leaders, they want to hire people who are either within the industry or know the technology. And you're not hiring. Well, you could sometimes, but you're also hiring from outside.
Yes.
They don't know the technology. They don't know how to be sales engineers. And people shy away from that. Oh, I want someone with 5 to 10 or 20 years of experience in REST API, except it's been out for like 3 years.
Yeah.
So how are you making sure that the worst thing that we can do as leaders is hire someone and then fire them because we failed to train them? What are you doing to make sure that they're going to be successful? We're setting them up for success.
For sure. So the main thing that I look at, because MarTech is so vast, and there, as I said, 11,000 companies out there, that we at least need to vaguely understand what they all do. The first and foremost, most important thing, of course, is become expert at the platform we work for. So I will sit them down, I'll train them, or they'll go through our onboarding process of just functionally understanding how the technology works, how to use every aspect of it, build every aspect about it. Don't even worry about storytelling. Don't worry about anything. Just understand the buttons. And this actually comes back from, I'll go back in time again. When I worked at Eloqua, I was in support. I thought I was amazing at it. I knew functionally how everything worked. When I went into consulting, I realized just because I know how everything worked didn't mean I knew how marketers approach the tech, which is fine. But I still needed that foundational knowledge, which is exactly why I have my team get that knowledge here. So I would have them learn the technology. It takes about a week or two to really just understand all of the different buttons. And then from there, I'll just say, show me how to use it and why I would want to buy it, without any structure box. I really let them take the approach for how they think this platform should be demoed. So maybe as an outsider, they have a completely different view of why this is valuable. Then it will be a bit of an iterative process. Okay, this works for all of this technology. And then from there, it's just constant learning of all of the different spheres out there of different aspects of marketing technology. So again, social, advertising, email marketing, whatever it might be, understand those from a concept level. You do not need to be an expert in Marketo, Eloquent, whatever. Just be an expert in Uberflip and understand why that connects to the other platforms.
One thing I told my manager when I became a sales engineer for the first time is like, hey, why don't you just put me for 2 months with the support team so I can learn the product? I was in support in a previous company, but then I switched and brand new product, brand new way of doing things. And they're like, well, no, you're too expensive as a sales engineer to be there. But then it became very hard for me to learn the products. We had multiple, like, I don't know, 20 products, each with doing a million things. So in the end, we couldn't be an expert. So it's always nice to actually have to know that you know everything about the product.
Yeah, and that's something I'll have my teams back. I don't need them on demos immediately. It's more important that you learn and become an expert before we throw you out there. And you make a good point. Support is like the unsung hero in every organization. No one knows the product like support. All of the issues with it, all of the good parts, they really get a good understanding.
And they know how the customers use it a lot more. Like I work with the verification engineers and software designers. They're all focused on their area, right? They know this button, what it does, but they don't know why it's there and what are all the other buttons doing. So it's just an interesting way of doing things. Yeah, like, how are you making sure that they stay on top of their, like, you add features? Is it easy for them to actually go back and learn it, or like, do they forget it? How do they keep their technology knowledge?
Sure.
That's the question.
Sure. So we have a monthly cadence with product to talk about, new features and whatnot. So that's the new education thing, but also what my team specifically does is any new feature that comes out, we are the team that will demo it to the success team or something like that. So oftentimes if there is a new feature, it's released to the whole company. Everyone, at least on paper, understands what it is, but my team will get in there, configure it themselves, build it themselves, and then turn around and talk to the success team or present to the success team. Here's how it works. Here's how our customers would want to use it. And here's why, it matters. So we shift away from doing a demo for prospects and just doing a demo internally. So almost selling internally for why this new feature matters. So that's how we stay on top of these features. And then for outside, it'd be more just, of course, newsletters and just keeping up to date with everything we can.
There's a research out there somewhere. I don't have it all like handy, but it's I don't think it's new. But if you think you're going to teach something, you learn it better.
100%.
So the fact that you're doing that is just like reinforcing. Is there a bit of like stress from the SEs when they know they're going to have to teach somebody else about it, or are they happy with that, with the way you're doing things?
Yeah, I think it's like it's both. I guess it's a happy stress. It's, we don't really want to do this, or this is new. We don't even know it. But in the end, after it's done, because we went through the exercise, to your point, we retain it a lot better, because we might do we might be able to read all of this documentation and in theory know how to do this, but unless we're distilling that information in a way to communicate it to someone else, it's not going to stick. Because that's a big part of our job as well. Again, speaking to marketers, oftentimes not technical people, taking technical concepts and being able to speak, in marketer speak, essentially. So that's a really great exercise for us, and everyone's happy about it at the end.
And I would imagine customer success team is much harder than the actual customers, just because they know the product a lot more.
Exactly. They're asking the tough questions where, those are the times we need to take things offline, maybe a little bit more, but yeah, they ask the tough questions.
I have in my notes here that you mentioned you have a different approach to proof of concepts.
Yeah.
Do you want to go into that a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. So the way we do proof of concepts here, Uberflip is a SaaS content experience platform. So what, in a very short, what we do is we take all of your content out there, and you might be sending people to your YouTube or your LinkedIn or your blog, and content lives in a bunch of different areas. What Uberflip does is it takes all of that content, centralizes it in our platform, and we're able to organize it very quickly into what we call streams, but also essentially like landing pages for a particular topic, industry, persona, whatever it might be. So I could say, you know, I'm a sales engineer, just show me sales engineer content, whether it's YouTube, whether it's blog, whatever, it's all there. So our proof of concepts when we're actually talking with organizations are unique because we need to talk to them first, figure out where all of their content lives, and bring in as much of it as we. So it's an extremely collaborative approach. Like, we will work with our prospects about what, where the content lives, bring it in, and essentially build them a completely spoofed resource center, ABM page, campaign and destination, whatever they're working on today, we're going to try and mirror. So say a prospect might have a campaign or an event right now where they're spending a lot of ad dollars, emails to send people to. Because in the end, you're always sending people to content through all of these channels. They would show us a landing page, and it's good most of the time, but we can do better. So it's really taking something they're doing today and mirroring that within our own ecosystem, but also working with them to get that content from them.
So, like, it sounds like a lot of effort for something that's not guaranteed. Why do you go through all that?
The visual impact of our platform is really what gets our prospects to understand what it is that we do. It's really cool to go through examples of, you know, here's one of our customers with a resource center. Here's where they send everyone for their ABM efforts or campaign pages. But there's a big aha moment when they're able to see what they're doing today directly compared with what they could be doing with us. So that alone is worth the effort for sure.
Nice. Yeah, it's very different from what I do for, like, I'm in a different industry, right? I'm in kind of networking, so I can't take their entire network.
Exactly.
So yeah, like when you have,
it's a little bit of smoke and mirrors, like some of the buttons don't work and everything, but we're in essence building our finalized product every single proof of concept, right? So it truly is an interactive way for people to see how the platform could work for them.
Okay, that's excellent. All right, I think it's time to move on to the not so fire round.
Sure.
These are the same 4 questions I ask every guest. And usually Benny starts us off, but Benny decided to miss this one. And I'm not blaming him, I am. So let's just start with the first one. What do you love about, like, being a director for a sales engineering team?
For me, it's just seeing the success of my own team. And I'll even kind of put boast about my own team right here. Every quarter we do internal awards, and we have 6 of them. My team won 3 out of the 6 awards company-wide. So we're doing a really great job here, and we're being recognized for it. And to be able to see the success, especially of some of my newest hires already making such an impact, just feels amazing. So that's what I love about this role.
Nice. Is there something you think should be better?
Yeah, no comment. But really, it's just time in the day. I mean, this is the struggle everyone has, is just figuring out every morning, what do I need to focus on today? Sometimes I personally struggle with that. I know there are big challenges. There's also small wins. When does it make sense to work on this versus that? So what I could change is just give me more time.
Okay, well, I don't think that's possible, but good luck with that. If you do figure that out, please let me know. We'll change it to 25 hours a day instead of 24.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you're trying to build your SEs and help them build their SE skills specifically, what resources do you tell them they should go listen to, watch, read?
Yeah, really, it's a choose your own adventure with my team, SE Nation, of course, but just various different blogs. Whatever they're interested in is what I want them to focus on, of course, within the confines of what we do. But I'm not so much you need to follow this one person or this one blog. Just find 4 or 5 sources. If you like them, that's amazing. Continue following them and share them with the team. And then we all pick and choose what we actually like learning from. Because we could all sign up for there's 1,000 different marketing blogs out there. We don't need to sign up for all of them. Just pick the one that resonates with you. And then again, internally, we'll meet as a team and kind of talk about what we find is interesting.
Okay. Last question of the not so fire round. What habit are you working today to improve, whether it's in your personal life or professional life?
Structure, I will say. I'm a pretty organized person. I keep my notes very organized, but in terms of my wake up to bedtime, there's almost no structure. I know I'm working. I know I'm probably biking. I know I'm cooking. Doesn't matter what time of the day it is. Sometimes I might be on my Peloton at midnight. Makes no sense. I need to really schedule my life a little bit better, because without this structure, I lose a lot of sleep, or I'm doing things in the wrong time. So that's what I need to work on.
Nice. Yeah, that's a good one to have. All right. Well, last question of the day. If people want to reach out and connect with you, where can they do that?
Super easy. Andrew Murari. Just Google me. I'm the only one in the world. You can find me on LinkedIn though.
Wait. Hold on. Is that true?
I think so. Yeah. It's kind of a fake last name. So I'm very, very easy to find.
You're okay. I don't know if this is because of me or something else, but you're the first result in the search, in the Google search.
Yeah.
Okay, and we can see pictures of you from way back when.
From a while ago when I had short hair and whatnot.
But same earrings.
Same earrings. I've had these holes in my ears for 15 years now. Back in the Best Buy days, actually.
Nice. Well, I appreciate you coming on, Andrew. It's been a blast, and hope to talk to you again in the future.
Yeah, super fun. Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure.
That brings us to the end of the show. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Andrew, for coming on. I know you were hesitant. I hope you enjoyed the experience as much as I enjoyed chatting with you. What do you guys think? I mean, has anyone else faced the challenge of joining a new organization and finding that the culture is kind of strange and it could be better? And what was your experience in trying to change that? I would love to hear that. We talked about a lot of different things, but that's the kind of topic that I want to focus on for maybe our discussions after this show. So let me know. Hit me up on LinkedIn, Twitter, wherever it is that you want to hit me up on. My email is ramsey@wethesalesengineers.com in case you don't have it already. Sign up to the newsletter. That's it. Thank you, Andrew. Again, love the conversation. Thank you guys for listening. For me, this is me signing off.